banger? Hell yeah.
Classes in session, this is the show where knowledge is profit, just so you know. Army Piper, OC Guy, and TradeFly, bringing crypto news to the whole alumni. It's the word on the market, the one-stop shop for the info you need every time that it drops. The go-to show that you need right now. This is Piper Academy, it's all going down, let's go.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Piper Academy. It's Tuesday morning, April 23rd, and we've got news for you today. Biden planning to kill Bitcoin mining in America, what it can mean for crypto. We're looking at the prices right now, everything getting a little pullback. We're red on the daily. We're going to be looking at all of that and a whole lot more today on Piper Academy, guys. Let's get it. Classes in session. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Piper Academy. I am your host, Army Piper. We come at you every Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, we got a lot of stuff to unravel. News, all kinds of news. Plus, here in a little while, we're going to be getting home sales in America. We're going to be taking a look at that and the rest of the economic data going on. But let's just go ahead and bring up my co-host. I got two people that help me with this show every day. TradeFly and the OCI. What's up, fellas?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here. I am awake, only a nice, lovely 3 hours of sleep, but I am wide awake. I'm ready to do this, and I'm ready to go through some charts with you guys. So let's go ahead and start mixing it up.
Awesome. How you doing, OC?
I'm doing fine. I just feel a little tired, but that's fine. I mean, just a little coffee in the morning.
I don't want to hear it.
So
I don't want to hear it.
TradeFly is a walking definition of tired.
No sympathy.
I know,
Bro,
I know.
You should have saw me when I turned my lights on this morning. I was like this. Like, that's literally what I look like.
It's a good look. It's a good look, TradeFly.
Yeah, I hope you didn't screenshot that.
I'm not a morning person. I always wake up like at 6 a.m. my time, but yeah.
That's all right. We're going to get into the, let's get into the news. That way we can unravel what's going on with Bitcoin. It rejected at one of the areas I talked about yesterday. So we're going to be taking a look at that. I believe TradeFly also has some stuff on his chart too that said, hey, watch this area. That's what I just said. I believe TradeFly also. Come on, man. Did you get a trophy too? Okay, gosh. Those people in California need those trophies. All right, let's jump over here and let's get into the news, guys. Sorry, TradeFly, you just left. I don't know what happened. Looking right here at Fear and Greed, guys, we're at 71 right now, currently sitting in greed. Let's jump over to the crypto bubbles there, and you can see we'll give it a little refresh here. That way we can get them all in that little square. Looking right now, it looks like AKT is up 39.3% for the day, GNO, but for the most part, lots of red going on here, kind of mixed markets, so no real volatility moving one way or the other. Let's scroll down here and see what we're seeing here. Looks like Bitcoin's still up for the day by 0.6%. Ethereum down about 0.1%. Last hour neutral. Looking here, BNB's up 2%. We've got XRP up 2%. And I got some XRP stuff in the news today. We're going to be showing that, talking about that in a second. You can see here, though, Dogecoin, Toncoin, Cardano, Shiba Inu, like just a lot of red here on dailies. Pretty mixed markets overall. Nothing really major going on. Anything move? Yeah, it looks like Stacks has moved up one position to number 24. Apto's dropping down to number 25. Filecoin moving up, and Immutable X moving up 3 positions to number 31. So BitTensor, my bad, up 4 positions to number 34 there. So let's jump over and take a look at the liquidations here. Looking at the liquidations, guys, in the past 24 hours, 45,911 traders liquidated. Total liquidations coming in $91.8 million there. The largest one, 1.1 million. Not too bad, not much. It's Ethereum on OKX. You can see here the longs. Longs were what got hurt the most in the past 24 hours, 55.2 million versus $36.5 million. Let's jump over into the economic calendar. We're still waiting on an update. We got about 24 5 minutes before we get this new home sales month over month. So we're going to look and see how this is looking. But right now, what we're looking at is that new home sales is projected to be up. And then new for month over month, and then new home sales themselves looking to be pretty much neutral. So, yeah, that'll be out about 25 minutes. We'll wrap back around to that one. Don't forget, though, tomorrow we got durable goods, Thursday, that GDP growth rate, and then Friday, the big one, core PCE. We're going to be taking a look at all that and more. Today, Tesla, after market close, is going to be the earnings report for Tesla. We might take a look at that Tesla chart today, too. We had a lot of sell-off going on that, and they are at some pretty critical levels. So we're going to talk about that, what that can mean for a bad earnings report, how low can they be going. If you guys were not aware, yesterday I quoted a repost of Crypto Savvy's talking about Tesla going to, whatever, $40 or whatever. And I said, well, when your Bitcoin narrative doesn't play out, you have to reach for low-hanging fruit. Little jab at Tesla there also in that comment. So, yeah, I think they're going to be heading down lower today. That is what we have there. I do want to lead in with one conversation piece here. Let's take a look at this. Ripple contests $2 billion SEC fine. Says that penalty shouldn't be more than $10 million. That's right, guys. SEC wants to fine Ripple $2 billion for a case they didn't even win. Ripple says a filing that SEC's draconian remedial requests do not have the grounds in law or principle. Moving down here, let me get rid of this block real fast. Hold one. There we go. Cross-border payment protocol Ripple contested the United States SEC request to impose a $2 billion fine against the blockchain company, saying the penalty should not exceed $10 million. In the new filing, Ripple Labs opposed that request to a federal judge to impose the almost $2 billion fine on the company. Ripple urged the court to deny the SEC's request for an injunction, disgorgement, and prejudgment interest. Ripple also said the court should issue a more reasonable civil penalty, which should not be more than $10 million. Ripple has every intent of adhering to that guidance in the future and every incentive to do so. The SEC's draconian remedial requests are ungrounded in law or principle. This court should reject them in their entirety. The filing highlighted that the SEC asked the court to ask Ripple to pay $876 million, $190 million in prejudgment, and another $876 in civil penalties. In total, gets to that $2 billion range there. Our opposition to the SEC's request for $2 billion in penalties for legacy institutional sales is now public in that case, in a case that had no allegations or findings of recklessness or fraud. So let's jump back over here and let's talk about this for a second, because I don't know. I think you should have to lose your case and be found definitively, hey, yes, you bad boy, the judge has spoken. Here's your fine. What is this $2 billion? This is a money grab from the United States, in my opinion. This is the federal agency looking for ways to fill the coffers, in my opinion. And I think it's absolutely disgusting what they're trying to do with a $2 billion fine on Ripple. What's your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, man, I totally agree. It's really hard to have a counter to that, but it's almost like, I don't even have an analogy, man. That's just, I agree. I have no more.
It's ludicrous.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah. It's wild.
OC, your thoughts?
I did think that this kind of like, like when you don't know how to lose and then you go for that revenge trading. In this case, I mean, it just went out and hey, you're not going away and untouched, right? Something like that. I mean, we'll always see that all across border. At the end of it all, the SEC job is kind of like to show that they're working on pro of the people and bringing safety. And the only way that they can do that is by, like throwing a couple of fines, whatever they do see things not fitting. So I believe it's just kind of like their way to saying, yes, we're doing something, and also not letting it go. Nonetheless, Ripple has been he's just been playing out very nicely. He survived so far 2 cases, isn't it? Or is it the same one that got prolongated or elongated? Yeah, so
they're different facets of the same case. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they just come out clean. They just did come out clean, right? So, I think they're gonna fight it again, and maybe just get into one or two little fines other than 2 billion. And yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of a money grab. But other than that, yeah, I think it's not gonna be a major stuff.
So I got SEC and some other news too. We're going to jump through X marks the spot here real fast and get all this laid out. So let's jump over here. This is today's X marks the spot. I got a lot of stuff in here. So let's start down here. Let me get rid of that. I don't need that. And we're going to go here first because this is an interesting one. Just in. Can you zoom for me? Thanks. Just in, this happened yesterday. Watch Your Guru put this out. Multiple SEC lawyers resign after a federal judge sanctions the agency for false statements and abuse of power in a crypto case. They didn't really go into detail. It is that for the crypto sanctions of a crypto case, they didn't really go into what it was, but it says multiple SEC lawyers resigned following sanctions from crypto case. It's a Bloomberg reporting there on that. So found that interesting that, hey, this is not going our way. And this looks like they're going to be coming back and digging in and what answers. And I'm not going to go and sit in the deposition for the SEC. So I'm resigning. I'm out of here. Lawyers getting smart. I think this is more evidence that there's just some really shady stuff going on over at the SEC, and they're snakes. The entire lot is a bunch of snakes, and it's not good for anybody in America. I don't think that they have the best interest of anyone listening, watching, or sitting on this panel right now. That's just my opinion, just one guy's opinion. We do have another one here, though, that I wanted to bring up. Look, before I do this, let's do this. TradeFly OC. Who is the largest producer of oil on the planet?
Are you talking about a country?
Yeah, country.
I used to know this.
OC, do you know?
Maybe Saudi Arabia, but I know it's not a country; it's a region. But don't know exactly which country. Which is it?
All right, let's get over here and talk about this because this one floored me too. This is right here. There we go. The U.S.
Oh, there we
The
go.
U.S. is officially the largest oil producer in the world, and it's not even close. Currently, the U.S. producing 12.9 million barrels per day of crude oil. This is nearly 30% more than the 10.1% or 10.1 million barrels that Russia produces, and 33% more than what Saudi Arabia produces. In fact, the U.S. alone pumps 45% of the output produced by the entire OPEC combined. Furthermore, the U.S. now produces nearly 4 times as much oil as Brazil. And then there's a comment down here that went on to it. I got to show you these because it was absolutely hilarious. Let me go here, and we're going to bring that back up because I want it over on this side. There we go. We're going to show more. Show more. Thank you. Because there's a comment in here that I thought was absolute gold. It's truly remarkable. This guy here comments back on it and says, where is it at here? Let me get down here. An important difference between, nope, that's not him. Yeah, it is. Between today's inflationary environment and that of the 1970s and early 80s is that the U.S. is now the largest producer of both oil and gas in the world. The product has produced more crude oil than any other nation over the past few years, domestic oil, and you can see right there, there's U.S. oil production. It is absolutely skyrocketing. And then this guy comes back and he goes, where's it at? Oh, man, is he not in here? Is it on the actual one? Zach said it's on the actual one. He said it is. No, it's not in there. Anyway, this guy said, I'll just come over here and tell you what he said. He goes, someone replied back and he goes, they won't attack themselves, right? Right? And I just thought it was hilarious that, the largest oil and gas producer, and people have to wonder, is America going to attack itself? Because they might have a history. They might not. But It was funny. I wanted to share that little humor, little piece of humor from one of the people. I thought he won the internet when he showed it. But at the end of the day, yes, the bottom line is the U.S. is now the largest producer of gas and oil in the world. So thoughts on that? Because I was shocked by it. I had no clue. Drill baby drill, I guess, has been the behind the scenes mantra of Joe Biden. When he said, green, 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 we're paying all these green taxes, but yet his video is not matching his audio. I'm just going to put that out there. Your thoughts on this, TradeFly?
Yeah, man. So I knew we were up there. I didn't know we were number one right now. But one of the big things, it's more of a concern, right? So what we used to do as America, we were pretty smart, is we would have one of the largest reserves. So
Yep.
we would actually import from everyone else to use their natural resources while we kept ours in reserve. So it was like we were playing the long game. So it's probably at that point where some of our government officials actually had a genuine interest in us being successful down the road, but now that's probably flipped. And I know they actually tapped the reserves at one point. There was a big article about that, and I want to say that was probably about 2 years ago where we
Yeah, we
started
were
tapping
almost
our own
out.
reserves. Yeah, and it was just to fund other things is really what it came down to. So I think it might have been to curb the inflation initially when we were actually really high. I think that's part of what they were doing. So yeah, man, unfortunately, with what we set in place, the long game, that's kind of out the window. So yeah, I guess
It's
now
true.
we're just in direct competition, and I don't know if that is maybe to do with us losing relationships, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
I have a theory, and I'll go over that at the end. OC, what's your thoughts on this this news that the U.S. is the largest producer of oil? Oh, he's polishing it up. Put it on. There
Well,
you go. Here we go.
no,
OC got it out.
all right, I do agree with something very important that TradeFly is talking about. That when they get together with a genuine plan that worked, I believe that. I mean, with many other part of the countries, not the government, because the government official that changes every 4 years, 6 years for you guys, or is it 5 years? I know it's every 3 years, right, with the re-election.
4 years.
So 4 years.
4 years.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 4 years. So I mean, that is too little to actually make a long-lasting plan. So they either need to have some committee to hold those plans across the board, and so for so long, right? Or they have those big enterprise behind the government saying, "Hey, this is the path. This is the path. This is the path," and they genuinely might be thinking about, the not only their themselves but also their country, right? And that's something that really stood up back in the 60s when companies really were proud of being U.S. made, U.S. Giving back to U.S. Population, and so on and so forth. So right now, the only thing that concerns me it is the other point that TradeFly touched, like you guys were importing from everyone else's, right? Not only that, also having a huge reserve. And also because of that huge reserve, you could actually dump or constrain the price of oil. But now, I mean, recently with Biden, they almost run out. But now touching on exporting oil, are we there yet? I mean, are we there yet with everybody else is just running out of oil? So I don't know. That's food for thought.
No, I think great point. And here's my theory on it. And I apologize for the behind the scenes over here sneezing and coughing. I'm in the South, man, and it's allergy season. I'm dying over here. So not as far south as you though, OC. If you look at what is going on with OPEC, they've been cutting. Saudi Arabia and OPEC have been cutting oil production, trying to control the flow of oil and make as much money as they can per barrel, because it's look what's going on over in the Red Sea and all that, and this gives them the ability to squeeze a little bit more money out. Right at the end of the day, they make their money off of oil, right? And so we've been producing more to offset so that we're not paying $6 to $7 a gallon unless you live in California. over here in the U.S. And so right now, yes, we are using a lot of our oil. And unfortunately, as TradeFly pointed out, we are not putting that in reserves. That is how we usually offset prices. We'll open up those reserves when it gets restricted or if a major event happens. And we're not able to do that because we're actually using most of the oil that we're producing right now. But yes, we are the largest producer right now. And that's what I got for X marks the spot. So let's get into some of the charts. We had a little thing that happened here yesterday. Let us know in the chat, though, guys. What do you guys think about the U.S.? I see you guys talking about it a lot in here, and Crux engaging back with you. But what do you guys think? Do you think, guys, is it good that we're drilling that much oil? And what do you think the long-term effects are? Just give us a little comments and opinions down there. But let's jump over here into the chart, guys. Taking a look at Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart right now. And you can see yesterday we were talking about we got above that dynamic reactor, but I said, watch for that point of control. If we do get rejected in that area and come back and retest either this 50% line of the dynamic reactor, I would think it's pretty bullish for us. That's what happened. If you take a look here, and I can turn off these the chart prime indicators that are given that coloration, you can see it's on a green candle right now. We literally rejected, just front ran slightly before that point of control, and then came down and touched on the 50. So right now, looking like a bullish stance here. What I said I'd like to see is a little bit of consolidation here. Give all this a chance to cool off, and that's what it looks like we're doing. So that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin right now. Nothing super stressful to worry about. Shout out to Investing Bros. They were on there this morning talking about this channel and how it's playing out. And so far, it has been really good. TradeFly, are you seeing anything on your heat map? Let's jump over there and take a look at that.
Alrighty, let's look at that. So I got a liquidation heat map on the 3-day. Still have a hotspot up about 67,250. Started clearing out some of that liquidity, but it has not cleared. Still got a nice little hotspot here. Let me go to the daily, because that seems to be the alligator closest to the boat. Let's see what it's looking like on the daily. There you go. All right, man, it's hot all over the place. So you got some liquidity on the downside and on the upside. That's really, it's really well within play. 67.3. I think we talked about that a little bit yesterday. I think that lined up with something on your charts as well. And I think we talked about this spot as well. Yeah, I think we talked about that spot as well. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like it could really push either way. I'm not going to take a whole lot from the heat map today, only because there's so much liquidity on the top and the bottom side of this really tight range, which, we don't see this very often. So hard to kind of take something away. So looking at the charts here, I mean, you could see it could really break either way. And you have this area of resistance. We talked about that yesterday, which it just kind of lines up with a bunch of the moving averages as well. That's kind of why I thought we'd see a little bit of rejection, which we did. I pulled back about $1,000 or so, maybe $1,500 or so. But now what we're looking at is being on the top side of this dynamic reactor. So, I mean, either way, Maker's going to get his today. It's just a matter of which way it wants to break. If we're looking at it, we did get a trend reversal on the 4-hour, as well as a rejection off the 200 SMA on the 4-hour. And then we have this trend line here this is something we've been watching probably for a couple of weeks now. If we do push up, I would probably look for a similar rejection like we got right here that me and Piper were looking for prior. I think it was last week when we were calling that one before it dumped down to about 59K there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I mean, we're kind of in, one of my no zones, I'll say, because, it's got to break one way or another. So if it does push up, I'm looking for a rejection off the trend line. If it does fall, then you're probably looking at visiting maybe this moving average here, which is the 50, for a little bit of a bounce. But other than that, it's kind of hard to find much in this area besides just giving you a horizontal level. See if that lines up. Let's see here. So what I'm looking at, just so you guys know, like I see, all right, there's a nice little move up. I see a support. I see rejection. I come over here. I see support. I see resistance here. Came up, breakdown, retest, breakdown. So that's an area that I would look at for some support, just to kind of give you guys some background on what I'm looking at here. There you go. So that area would be something I would look at for a bounce, probably at about 64.7. So if we pull back, find a range or consolidation, I would look for a little bit of a bounce in this area. And I bet this moving average will pull up just a little bit as well. So give you a little bit of confluence there. But right now it looks like we're pushing up. Looks like we want to retest again this area of resistance. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff that's going on in the charts right now. Let's get over to OC. And then, guys, let us know in the chat what you would like to see for some TA today. And ZTS will be racking up this list for us. So kicking it over to you, OC.
Absolutely. So this is the channel that we were looking at. And then also we have this trend line here. Remember that this trend line was drawn earlier and it was based on where support and resistance were. At this point, I have another kind of like a set of trend lines, and I'm going to be updating this one to something more like in line of what we're looking at. Oh yeah, first I need to unlock it, of course, and then push it maybe farther up like that. So as you can see right now, we are basically back on touching this trend line, and I'm still gonna be looking at this area for back at support for breakout and retest. And if we do that, well, then I'll be changing this area right here for a going back down. Let me just adjust this very quick. There we go, something like that. I'm still looking for maybe this double bottom that it could be forming. Let me also adjust that possible double bottom that could be happening if we start breaking this trend line. Why? Yes, it's true that we are breaking through the dynamic reactor. We are 6, so we're supposed to be ranging, and that's a somehow a big range. So that's what I'm looking at, this same pattern here playing out. Remember, this is the one that I've been tapping very often, even going for this same analogy that we have the base and also we have the resistance in here, and then also I was looking for this area of support, right? But let me also go to a cleaner chart here that I just did just a couple of minutes ago, and I believe, where is it? This is it. All right, perfect. And I discovered this other double touching here to make a movement to the downside. So far we're right at that resistance. Yes, look at the consolidation score. It's very, very high. That consolidation score high reminds on most of the charts. Remember, those are intra or between brokers areas, and it reminds at 9. Our market prophecy is still pump, but remember that prophecy does not change its based on your time frame. It changes based on structure. So what I'm saying it is that if we go back, because I believe that we're going to be going back here to the zero line, if we break through, we are going to be making that double bottom, all right, or that at least change of structure right down here. If we can break through this trend line, well, then we're golden, and we're going to be hitting somewhere around 69, 70K again. So that's what I got for you guys. Turning it back to you.
Awesome. So shout out to Alex O Crypto in the chat. And also, guys, we do have some assets being dropped there for TradeFly at OC in our chat. So near BONK, JASMY, stacks, all lined up. So I see TradeFly's already grabbed one. But I'm going to look at this. We got this earnings today on Tesla, so I just want to give you guys a little stock outlook here. Right now, we did break here on Monday. Yesterday, we did break down below the 786. It looked like right now we're trying to break back above that and testing it. But it's all going to depend on today's market close earnings report. So I went over to ChatGPT and I said, hey, ChatGPT, let's talk here. What do you got for me? Is Tesla expected to beat earnings? The reason I did this, I'm on ChatGPT 4, so I get real-time data. It did a little aggregate of all of the news that's out there right now. And so Tesla is indeed expected to beat earnings estimates for today's report. Analysts have revised their earnings expectations slightly higher in the recent days, suggesting a somewhat optimistic outlook on Tesla's performance. The average estimate earning per share for the quarter is 56 cents, with some projections as high as 87, although Tesla has faced challenges in vehicle deliveries during the first quarter, and then they've also had some bad news that came out on their truck, doing a lot of recalls on the Cybertruck. So just keep an eye on that chart there, guys. Looking right now, though, like I said, like we are trying to fight back above this 786. This could be a really good bottom to start DCAing in, not financial advice. But I don't know. Shout out if you are doing that. I still think that there might be a little more downside because we are in this platinum pocket. I would expect to see that we do head down to 124, and that's where I'd be looking to get my buy-ins on Tesla to add to my stock portfolio because, diversification, all that good stuff. So let's kick it over to TradeFly. We're going to start knocking out this list here, and I see that you guys have already jumped on some of them, so let's get it.
Right on. So looking at JASMY, some of these lines are from TA that we've done previously, but it's wild to see when you haven't looked at something for a couple weeks. Look, I mean, it did come up and it's kind of fallen right back into the symmetrical triangle. It fell out for a little bit, but it's back. But what did it use? It used the volume area low on the fixed range volume profile. So it's really been honoring this range for an extended amount of time. So I know it's probably been at least a couple weeks since I've actually looked at it. So that does tell you how powerful these fixed range volume profiles can be sometimes. It's played out pretty well. So, I mean, you would like to say it's going to break out at some point, but it's really hard to make that assumption of when, just because it's been in here since, let's go back, just see when I actually started it. So you're talking about February. So that's kind of crazy. So flirting with the dynamic reactor right now, and it looks like it's on the top side. So, a little bit of, transition here. If you're looking at the gradient, it is starting to go back to like a purplish color, which means it wants to go to green. It's kind of like that transitional color. If you look at it here, you go red, purple, green, and vice versa. It kind of goes back. However, looking at the prime oscillator, I did see it get into the overbought, as well as you had a peak seeker print, and it's kind of pulling back pretty harshly on the prime oscillator RSI. So, I don't have high hopes. It looks like it's retesting this area over and over again. Potentially, kind of, I take the analogy of like chopping down a tree. You keep chopping at it and eventually that thing falls. That might be the case here. We'll see, though. It does want to honor this trend line right now. Let me give you a high side target. If it does push up, I would say it probably might just come up to this trend line initially. You might see a rejection before it ultimately moves through and retest this volume area high. So a couple areas for you to look at are about 2.1, 2.2 cents, and 2.3 cents, which doesn't seem like much, but from here to there is actually a 12% move. So don't get hypnotized by the small numbers there. If it does pull back, it's kind of similar, right? It's like it has this like one low-hanging fruit there with the moving average. And then if you kind of look back left on the chart, you want to find some areas of support and resistance. Looking at it right here, I can see some support. I can see some resistance before ultimately kind of went up. Let me go ahead and draw a line for you there. So that's at about 1.8 cents, somewhere around there. There's probably going to be a little bit of a range, but that's probably where, if I saw a breakdown, I would look for a bounce. Remember the volume area low, which obviously has been the range that it stayed in, is sitting at about 16 cents. So if we get a pullback, that would probably be an area where I would actually look at a long position, and then I would kind of come down to the prime oscillator. Yep, I said kind of. Look at the prime oscillator and look to see if we were getting some action here. So you'd probably see something like that. And I'm okay with this right here, right? Because that is then ultimately showing you kind of a trend up and right. So if we get a second test down here, wouldn't be upset about that, but it also might be an opportunity for a long entry. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Awesome, OC. Let's kick it over to you. I see you got a little bit of a bonk here for us, it looks like.
Absolutely. That's because I was talking about the meme coins 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and we were looking at this area ranging here that we had a pixie here. We got a couple of bullish divergences, and I did enter, but I remember I entered, what was it, on Pepe, if I'm not mistaken, which had exact same pattern here. So we have a beautiful breakout. So the big question, I guess, is it going up or down, right? So we're forming at first glance, and please, let's just wait for this thing just to play out or to get back online. There we go. Perfect. So at first glance, we see that we could be forming a bullish flag and that we might be making that breakout, all right? But do not just stay with the first analysis that you get, right? Sometimes it's good just to remember, go turn on your indicators and see how is it moving and what is it doing. So far we are at the top of that little range, of that little flag, and I'm not gonna lie, that flag looks very tempting. All right, very tempting, but I'm not gonna be jumping in unless we break out. Why? Let me get started right here. So what is my support here? So yes, this is my trend assistance, which is telling me that I'm still strong bullish, but this gives me support way back down here. All right, so that's the first thing. So I have some air between that and the price action, so not good. Well, then what's next? This is my liquidity area. So look at this liquidity area here. Look at the bearish volume. So that is telling me that so far we have much more bearish volume here added, or bearish percentage on previous reactions, that it is maybe dropping my price down and might be impacting on the price results. So not that good, right? I usually want to see something like that where the greens or bulls are actually making it better, right? So, or overcasting, over taking the bearish. So that's the very first bearish signal. Then the next one, we have a trend line right here, almost right there, ready to rock and roll. And then let's see what else we have. Where is it? Come on, where are you hiding? And that's basically it. All right, so we have a ton of resistance at the top, a ton of resistance. All right, another thing that counteracts that is that our prime score, it's 8, so very bullish, and our our oscillator is still above the 0 line. So I'll be waiting for maybe 1 or 2 candles, what to see when we break out, maybe retest, and off we go because of this high order block. So far I do believe that we're going to be breaking up, but we need to see if that retest holds, because we have a ton of resistance here that could be pushing us back down and maybe do something like that. All right, so just be careful on BONK. I'd rather wait for a confirmation because it is a meme coin. So other than that, turning it back to you guys.
Awesome. Let's jump over here to my chart. I've got Near Protocol up. We had a request for this. Moving in here, taking a look at what we have on Near right now. You can see we did get this nice bounce. I'm looking at a 12-hour. Let's go over the 4-hour. We did have this nice bounce here last week or so. That we bounced right on the golden pocket. It was, I told you guys, it was pretty bullish, but we needed to get back above this 50% line. We were getting a lot of rejection tests here on it. We finally busted through that here over the weekend. We came up for a nice retest on the dynamic reactor. That's a bullish move. And right now we punched through cleanly right here. We had one rejection and then punched into the 382. Where we are currently sitting at, and let me go ahead and bring this over so that the fixed range volume profile will load in. There we go. And let's isolate this off and take a look. We're right now bouncing on a retest of the value area high. This value area high currently coming in right here at about $6.93. And where I'm going to be watching for our rejection is going to be the 236 up here, $7.45. Reason for that being, if I just order block this liquidity zone above us, then there is buying pressure, which is obvious. That's typically what happens above us, but it is a substantial amount in comparison to the buying pressure. So I would watch for us to get up, get a little punch through this 236, and then watch for a small rejection there. I don't think it'd be too much. If we got up here, worst case scenario, I can see us coming back to our current level for a rejection there on Near. Let's take a look at the oscillator, see what we're seeing on there. Oscillators telling us a little story here. Cloud's getting pretty tight at the bottom. Typically, when the cloud moves this tightly and doesn't get any expansion, then and we're at a high zone, we do tend to get a downside pressure, selling pressure, but we are starting to get a little curvature right here on this oscillator ribbon. So what I would watch for is for this to come up one more level here. That's going to be this move up to that liquidity zone on price. We'll get ourselves another bearish divergence just like we have right there. And then that will be where I'll watch for a rejection. Everything looking a little bit overbought right now. So I would watch for that to be what happens with our oscillator there. And price action on Near Protocol. Let's kick it over to TradeFly, see what you got, bro.
Right on. Looking at ONDO right now. So this actually did come down to the golden pocket. I took it off just for clarity so you guys could see a little bit more of the screen, what's going on. Same kind of deal, man. You're finding a range here with ONDO. I mean, you had these kind of peaks, you know, on the outside of it, but really you have a nice solid range. And I didn't just draw these lines. These lines are from the last time I did an analysis on ONDO. So it was identified back here before we had those big, when it fell out and then it pushed back up. And that just correlated with Bitcoin when it dumped down to about 59K. All of the altcoins pulled back really hard. I think a lot of people took an opportunity to buy into ONDO because it did come down to an area of previous resistance, and then it retested it as support. It's a little bit of a range here, but you can see this area of support. You didn't really, barely had a close underneath of it. So this was a big buying opportunity that it looks like people jumped on, which made the price spike up. Then they took their profit, and then it fell right back into the range. So that's kind of what we're struggling with right now on ONDO. But high side you can see is at 85 cents. Low side is at about 76 cents. And you have all the moving averages, dynamic reactor, everything is just right down the pipe. So, hopefully it stays on the top side. That would be the ideal situation. But it's really hard to take much from ONDO right now while it's trading in this range. So, if you want, you could try to play the range and just kind of watch it like pogo back and forth and just set a stop loss on either side of it. That might be an opportunity. Looking at the prime oscillator, I would say the overall trend since this last peak is probably a little bit more down and right, but it's nothing too crazy. We're in a range, and that's about the best thing that I have for you. And again, those are your price targets that I gave you, about 75 cents and 85 cents. It's just kind of pogoing back and forth. So look for a breakout. OC always tells you it's about the retest. So once we get a breakout of this range, comes back and retests it, that might be an opportunity, or at least a sign that we see continuation in one of those directions. But right now, I guess initially I would look for rejection here at about 85 cents. That's about what I got for you on ONDO.
Great. Appreciate that. Shout out to Gary Gendler. He said +1 curvature. He's very bullish on curvature. Let's kick it over to OC. What you got for us, man?
Absolutely. I have SDX. So SDX, I'm not gonna lie, it's looking pretty good. The only thing that I don't like is that our oscillator has a bearish divergence, right? But we have a breakout, and as Trevor was mentioning, right, it's not about a breakout, it's about the retest. We have dynamic reactor and a soft order block. We're pretty stable, breaking almost into the bullish area, and consolidation is pretty also stable. So I could be maybe expecting maybe 1 or 2 bounces between these two soft order blocks and seeing which one of those is gonna give out first, right? So looking good. I'm not gonna lie. So again, the only thing that is worrying me is this bearish divergence. So at the time of the retest here, I will be looking for a hold or maybe a late entry, even if I jump at the center of the ranging here and then going back up all the way up here, taking some profits, and then planning for maybe a retest back down here on the dynamic reactor, right? So if we break, well, it's pretty clear where we have the next big support is right here where we have the high order block and the money flow POC, and that also correlates with our, look at that, what is it? Sorry, I have 2 of the same. I don't know. Yeah, our order blocks, and also should be pairing, there we go, with our support and resistance. So there we go. This is the big resistance if you're waiting for an awesome a place to enter with a minimum amount of risk. I'll be looking for maybe this trend line that goes very near to this area right down here. So yeah, looking at 2.63 for secondary entry and looking for 2.8785 for first entry. One quick tip before we go away and try it back to you guys, it is that I was looking at HBAR because HBAR has been moving very nicely. We are above the dynamic above the zero line, and the only thing that I will be looking for is a flip of the ribbon, and we are trying to make that push. If we make that push, it's going to go maybe somewhere around 10.23 and then come back down, and then the first target will be at 10.69. I'm telling you guys about this because this could be leading the way on other altcoins just like Pepe. So just take a look at HBAR. If we break, most likely other altcoins will be breaking. Turning it back to you guys.
Awesome. Let's jump over here. Let's take a look at CleanSpark, because I'm seeing some stuff on CleanSpark. We had a request for this in the chat, and then we're going to talk about an article that is relative to this, guys. You can see first off, right off the bat, if we take a look here, we have turned back into bright green candles here on the Chart Prime Market Oracle. When this happens, it's just because there has been a trend reversal, and it's in relationship to several things, one being the dynamic reactor, the amount of volume, so on and so forth. You can see here, once we've moved into bright greens, we do typically get good movements. Right there, went into bright green, got that entire movement up. We turned into bright green here, got that movement up, went bright green here, got all that movement up. We have just, in the past 24 hours, went back into bright green candles again. And one thing that I want to point out is that we had a pump up here, retest of the golden pocket, pump up, retest of the platinum pocket, and now we are continuing to the upside. CleanSpark had quite a bit of sell-off, but now with the Bitcoin having taken place, the fees, the transactions, all of that went smoothly. The mining companies are back in the money right now. We do have earnings coming up here on May 8th for CleanSpark, so I'm going to be watching that closely as we get there. But if we take a look at what's going on, we could see a little consolidation period here for this week, especially with the volatility coming up from the economic data this week. So we could see a little bit of consolidation here in this platinum pocket would be where I'd like to see that contained. Hopefully that is the case. But if not, we do wick down, look for us to find support on the dynamic reactor as we come back down here. Probably not that curve. It's going to be more like that. If we do break down, look for that bounce and then back into the platinum pocket. The reason I say that is we are starting to get up into these bearish zones where we typically see a little bit of price consolidation or reversal. But right now, pretty bullish on CleanSpark. You know who's not bullish on CleanSpark or any of the mining companies? That would be over here. Let's take a look at this article, guys. That is going to be old Joe Biden. And this is actually really bad news for crypto in general, but especially the mining companies. Biden is asking Congress to kill the American Bitcoin mining industry, guys. President Biden asking Congress to take aim at the American Bitcoin mining industry, and he's citing China as an example for the United States to follow. I want you to look at that. He's citing China as an example for the United States to follow. When have we ever thought China made good calls on anything? The fact that the United States has taken an aggressive approach to cryptocurrency regulations, despite giving the green light for those Bitcoin ETFs, is basically undeniable. And you go down here, rather than a business-friendly approach, or at the very least acknowledging the value brought by a domestic Bitcoin mining industry, the Biden administration in March reintroduced a controversial proposal to impose a 30% excise tax on the cost of electricity used for Bitcoin mining. The draconian proposal is called the Digital Asset Mining Energy Tax, or DAME, and it could lead American Bitcoin miners from Riot Platforms to Marathon Digital Holdings to flee American soil. Senator Cynthia Lummis, a Wyoming Republican, noting as much on X, writing a proposed 30% punitive tax on digital asset mining would destroy any foothold the industry has in America. For those that don't know, this is introduced, this is in a bill, and here's the problem with it that I'm going to break down for you here. He proposed that DAME tax in May before it was quickly shot down by lawmakers. The administration swept it under the rug that same month. Apparently, they were stashing it for a later date. Biden has reintroduced it in the 2025 fiscal budget proposal. Now, there's the issue, because a lot of times they will combine these bills into things that need to get passed so that people will go, well, we need to get this passed. We'll deal with that later. What do you guys think? I want to hear your thoughts on this. Does this destroy Bitcoin mining in America? Or are they going to find some way to go, nope, we're going to push this back. We're going to wreck everything. Are there people in D.C. willing to say, we're not going to approve the budget proposal for next year? We're going to look at government shutdown threats until that is removed? Or does it get approved with that in there? Let me know what you guys think. We'll go with OC first on this.
Absolutely. So I do believe that that's going to have a little bit of a backfire area, right? Because yes, we're talking about mining, but the price of our electricity might be mixed, right? And also that might be also brings a couple of loopholes. Remember that we also have, or you guys also have Alaska, right? Remember what happened in Russia when all of the mountains, because they were pretty cold, everything was migrating there. So despite the 30% fee, we might be seeing some migration. It will absolutely impact the mining structure as we know it, and we might be seeing migration out to some other places like Latin America places, or some other fiduciary areas, just like Puerto Rico, right? Where they don't control completely those bills, but they might have now cheaper electricity to build that infrastructure. So I think they're missing out if they do it. And I also think that there's going to be politicians willing to push against Biden bill, and that is because elections. That's because elections. And yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome. TradeFly, your thoughts on this?
I mean, this isn't the first time they've tried to sneak some kind of cryptocurrency legislation into these bills. I will say, for the most part, so far, they have not made it through. So that's kind of been the historical, nature of trying to slide, stuff like that in there. So we'll see. But a lot of times it falls out once the bill actually goes through. So that's exactly what happened last time. So I would expect probably a similar thing to happen this time. People aren't stupid; they're going to catch on to it, and they'll call it out, I'm sure. And that'll be a piece that probably just gets bumped out. But that is the U.S. way. We try to sneak something in under the table, and we'll have another bit of news that takes everyone's attention, and then all of a sudden they pass, something crazy, and they're like, "Well, what just happened?" So, but no, I don't think it's going to go through. Personally,
Here's my opinion on it, and this is just one humble man's opinion.
Okay.
I think that what this is going to. I think that if it does get pushback from politicians, it won't be because it's a crypto targeting bill. It'll be because of the precedents that it sets for the future. Because if you put out a 30% approved tax rate, punitive tax rate on these companies for their energy usage, and it gets approved, that will establish a baseline that is acceptable on other businesses, and that would be any business that they deem non-essential. That is an attack on capitalism and corporate America on a level of bias, prejudice, and opinion, and that should never be how we make laws in America. That's just my opinion, just one humble man's opinion. So there you go. I don't know
My
what you
name is
guys, if you have any
TradeFly,
feedback
and I
on that.
approve this message.
There you go. So let's get into some more TA. I just, let me know what you guys in the chat think. I think there's a lot of, opinion and how they feel, and that's the problem. We're a country that everyone cares about how they feel about things more than the facts and the logic and the reasoning and the bottom line truth. So, F your feelings. They don't matter. So let's go back to TradeFly, see what you got, man.
Right on. So let's look at XRP. I have a little concern with XRP. There's been this long-standing trend line as support, and that goes all the way back to June 2022. So it has been in a bullish trend, up and right, unequivocally, no questions asked. I know you guys have been like, why isn't XRP moving? Well, it's been in a bullish trend up and right for a very long time. I hate to break it to you. However, we broke out of that finally here in April. We finally had our first time where it came out of that trend, or to the bottom side of that trend line. So the funny thing is, initially, look at this. If you open it up, this is on the daily too. So a little bit more significant. There's probably more than one touch. You did get a retest. Let's actually look at it on the 4-hour. But you did get a retest, and then a little bit of a breakdown. Not too much though. But it's back in. All right. So all hope is not lost. I would have said, for me, I would have been terrified once I saw it break out of there. It did have a nice move down. I think that was about 17%. So I think a lot of people probably sold off when it broke out of that trend line. That's why you had that quick move down. But 42 cents made a lot of sense. Now, I will tell you, I did just draw this trend line, so I'm not an oracle on this one. But there were, when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, all right, where is their support and resistance? Just so you guys know, how I find these things. But there's your resistance. There's your big pump up, support. Big breakdown, retest, came down, retest, came up, yada, yada, yada. So you can see, and then it had a wick off of there as well. So that would have been a nice opportunity if I had been ahead of it and I was like actually looking at XRP and be fully transparent. I wasn't. So where can XRP go? Well, I would think it's probably going to stay, on the top side of this trend line again. I don't know that the precedence has been set for it to stay on the bottom side. It did come back in, and it came back in with authority. It didn't waffle around there too much. But here's what you're flirting with right now. You got a bunch of resistance. You got all kinds of moving averages. You got the dynamic reactor. You're on the bottom side of the dynamic reactor. So we've talked about the dynamic reactor, how well it holds up at support and resistance. Ultimately, it is red. So I would probably look for a little bit of a rejection here. My guess would be that you're going to see a little rejection in this area, and this trend line, or this area of support and resistance I did have marked, and that was at 56 cents. I think you're going to see something probably like this, but really it has to do with the rest of the market. So if the rest of the market continues to consolidate or range or even move in an up direction, I think XRP can break through this area. I don't think all hope is lost for XRP yet. But if the market pulls back, that could be kind of scary for XRP, because all you have is this trend line left. So if it pulls back, you could very much see it. I mean, you can see how quick it moved through all this area. You could definitely have the opportunity to see it come back down and actually touch 42 again, which could be a pretty nice buying opportunity. So I would say keep an alert set for about 42 cents. Matter of fact, let's do that. I can do that right now. All right. So I set an alert at 42.5 or so. If it comes down and touches that area, I would definitely be interested at a potential long position on XRP because I think we'll see some sort of price action off of it. Again, you guys kind of know my game, more of a swing trader. I like to see those small percentage moves off a very significant area of price action, and that's what I'll do. Short game, I'm in, I'm out, and then wham, bam, thank you, man. Move on to the next one. So top side, if it does move up, and if it moves up with some authority, then you're looking at about 64, 65 cents. That's kind of your top side target.
Awesome. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and I need to get this last article out. So, OC, if you have any TA, drop a quick clip over into the Discord for the members. But I got to get this one out because this article is pretty important. There's some major things on the Bitcoin chart right now that I want to show you. First off, yesterday we dropped the newsletter. If you guys haven't seen it yet and you're a member in our Discord and a member here on YouTube, you can get access to that. It's absolutely free to you. Put out weekly. But we are talking about Bitcoin moving up for a rejection here on the golden pocket. And I put out the levels and everything in that newsletter. But let's jump over to this news article and let's talk about the bullish stuff that we're seeing right now on Bitcoin. This is according to here on Cointelegraph. They did a bunch of analysis here, and it says Bitcoin Bollinger Bands hit level that saw Bitcoin price squeeze past 50K. The Bitcoin volatility indicator suggests that Bitcoin's price action is due for another breakout, and there's several things in here that I'm going to point out. One is the liquidity is keeping Bitcoin in a tight range. We do have currently a couple of CME gaps. We have one sitting below us according to Cointelegraph here that is sitting right here down below us at somewhere in the ballpark of about 64,600. And then there's one above us that is sitting here at about 67,200. You can see from the market close over here, we did not close out the rest of that gap. There's still a little bit right there. That is one thing. Two, both scenarios assume that a short-term trend will continue and we will move towards the range high. Data from the monitoring source resource CoinGlass confirmed on the day that 66,000 and 67,350 formed the biggest support and resistance levels, and you can see that there on the heat maps that TradeFly so eloquently displays every day. But here's the Bollinger Band breakout that we had back in February. They've reached that level again. Anticipation of a larger Bitcoin price move, meanwhile, lingered in the background. And if we go down here and take a look, At the time, Cointelegraph reported on the implications of Bollinger Band behavior for Bitcoin price action, with analysis seeing an upsize squeeze, which ultimately became a reality back in February. We go back here and look. Let's get down here and see. This is October here of 2023, and then February 2024. We had this low level here where we were running down on the BBW, and then we had this squeezing Bollinger Band, and it popped off. Again in February, we had the squeezing band. We hit down in that range, and it popped off. We are getting into this area again where the Bollinger Bands are starting to tighten up again, and we're coming back down into that zone. This give an indication that we could see a nice pop off of squeeze of price action on Bitcoin coming up in the near future. TradeFly, based on what you've been seeing on Bitcoin, do you see anything similar setting up on other things? What's your thoughts on that article?
On other things, yeah, not really sure. Bitcoin seems to be a little bit different than alts. It seems like the alts kind of align, the vast majority of them. So like when it gets down to the golden pocket, we'll see that trend of like a few of them will be at the golden pocket at the same time. It feels like you're doing the same analysis over and over again. But for Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, the Bollinger Bands, I mean, that's kind of old faithful for a lot of people that do traditional TA. And like you said, when they constrict, you're looking for volatility. One of the indicators that I used to really like was the BBWP, which was the Bollinger Band width profile. That would show you like on there, you would get these like blue lines that were basically going up and down, and it would show you like, hey, we're due for volatility. Or it would also signify the end of a trend, right? So, but then if you just bounce it off of the Bollinger Bands, you'll see they're constricting and then they're widening. So yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, that's essentially what this BBW is down here. That's why it's coming back into that range. So yeah, pretty much what you're saying there. Perfect. OC, thoughts on this? Are we going to see these Bollinger Bands? How they're going to play out? We're going to squeeze this price higher. Let's go.
Hopefully we do. But I still will be a little bit careful with the bottom of the channel that we were talking about. And yeah, exactly. I mean, moving cautions with the markets. We still have the halving event very fresh. So volatility, it is expected. So other than that, turning it back to you guys.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Let's get back out here. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. So you guys got anything for the people out there? You got anything hot going on today in the world?
No, it looks like you have been nominated for a presidential candidacy. I would like to be your Secretary of Defense. If
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll put OC guy. We'll put OC guy as the Department of State dealing with international affairs. So
there it is, man. There it is. Get your visa, bro.
There you go. Guys, I appreciate everyone joining us here today. Sorry that we ran a little bit short, but we had a lot of news that we had to get out today. So don't forget, tonight on X at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's going to be the Billy Goat Tales. Come over there. Crux is actually going to be hosting, breaking down some great information on staking and earning. So you guys are not going to want to miss that. Come over and check it out. And we will be back here tomorrow morning at 9:30. TradeFly. OC Guy will be joining me, bringing you guys all the news, the charts, and the alpha that you need to make money because, you know, knowledge is profit. So, guys, we will check you out tomorrow. Until then, trade safe, and as always, use a stop loss.
I don't know what they keep telling me. I don't know what they keep telling me. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. Ain't no school like Piper Academy. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels flow low. I know you hungry for knowledge, that's profit appetite. Classes in session, this for the Army Piper acolytes. TradeFly, get the soul train ready. What a line from OCI, from a Mexican spaghetti. Yo, Crux Crypto with a deep dive to reject dime. And if you like the visual powered by Chart Prime, then you were part of that alumni, that's all spine. But if you have, step fall back to offline. We'll keep that front line covered, even when we're dead and gone. We'll find a way to keep going, cause we gon' keep on rolling out the wheels flow low. Sound off. To get with them, the ZTS rhythm. Rip it, Alexandra.
Yeah, that's my alumni, you know what I mean?
awesome, dude.